Hi friends, it's Shelley from Koala Knits and Knacks, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make this wonderful pillow on your Addi 22 needle machine or your Sentro 22 needle, whichever one you have. And I made it using Craft Smart yarn. The green is called Arctic, and I used 2 balls of that, not quite 2 balls, maybe one and 3/4. And then the mushroom color, I only needed 1. And again, there was some left over from that too. So it doesn't take much yarn. All right, so once you get your supplies, let's get started. But before we do so, I'm just going to show you a quick view of the back, okay? All right, so here's a quick view of the back. It's just a solid color. So all of the design and decoration is on the front, but of course it's absolutely reversible. So I hope you enjoy this tutorial. Please grab your supplies and let's get started. Before we begin making our project, I thought I'd show you what it looked like without the fringe or without tassels. It's quite beautiful, actually. It's you don't really need to put anything else on this pillow if you prefer not to. You can just keep it exactly like this, and it'll be beautiful with wherever you put it. So I just thought I would show you this just so you could see another option. All right. We're going to again use our Addi 22 needle machine, and we're going to bring our last white needle and our first black needle in line with the yarn guide. And if you have a black permanent marker, go ahead and mark that divider. Mine's rubbing off, so I'm going to just do it again. And I always see it coming around when I have the end of a row, color changes, etc. I just always know when the end of the row is coming around. That takes like 2 seconds to dry, and it doesn't get on your yarn as you knit. So it's wonderful. Go ahead and do that. So take your waste yarn, because we're going to need waste yarn for the front, the top and the bottom of this project. We're going to put it behind that first black needle, in front of the second, behind and in front, all the way around. This is called a long tail cast on using waste yarn. And when you get to the end, it should be going behind that last white needle. You're going to open your yarn guide. You're going to insert it through that feeder, and you're going to crank out as many rows as you're comfortable with. Now for me, I always do 7 or 8, and that's what I'm comfortable with. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, and I'm going to do one more because I have the end here, 8. So before I get to the end, I'm going to turn my row counter to 0, so I'm ready when I get to the beginning. And I'm gonna barely have enough here. Ooh. Cut that one close. I should have stopped at 7, but that's okay. All right, and so now I opened my yarn guide and I put the yarn tail between my last white and my first black needle. My row counter's at 0, so I'm ready to get started, and I'm going to grab my first color. I'm choosing my light color, and I'm going to insert it into my yarn guide, close the latch, put the end in between my last white, my first black, and then I'm going to just feed through 3 or 4 needles just like that, and then I grab both ends of my working yarn and I'm going to tug on it and then help this little one underneath that little guy there, and then I'm going to take this and do 1 little knot, and I'm going to crank out 10 rows. Okay, so we're going to do 10 rows. I have to go fairly slow with this particular color because it doesn't like my machine. So as I'm going by, I'm watching every one of these little needles to make sure that this, where's my little needle, my little pick here, that this loop is down over these red teeth as it comes through past here. Because if it's not, and it stays up like this, then that's how you get a duplicate stitch, okay? Because they both, it doesn't stay down there, and this doesn't go in between or be in the middle of that. They just catch on each other, and then you get a duplicate stitch. So. Okay, so I just clicked on my 10th row, and I'm going to finish that. See this one, this last stitch went down below, so I have to back it up just ever so slightly. Oh, it went right off the hook, so good thing I caught it here. I'm going to remove this. Yeah, this yarn is just like a beast. I just don't like it at all. And then, I mean, I love the color of it. I'm going to put that stitch, oops, got to do a little bit farther down so I don't break my needle. Put that right on there. Then I'm going to feed that underneath that red bar. I'm going to turn this ever so slightly backwards so that I can get it underneath that needle. And that's my last stitch. So, so I'm going to now cut off my yarn end, open my guide, stick it in between my last white, my first black, and I'm going to change my colors. I'm going to put in my darker color. I'm going to do 3 or 4 needles. Take the both ends of that working yarn and give it a little tug, help that underneath that red divider. Then I'm going to take this and I'm going to tie these 2 ends. And I'm going to tie a nice tight knot. I'm going to snip that off because I like to have them a little bit shorter. And from there, I'm going to do 10 rows. So when my counter gets to 20, I know I've finished 10 rows. So I finished another 10 rows and my row counter says that I finished 20 rows. So I'm going to cut my yarn. I'm going to put that between my last white, my first black, and I'm going to do another color change. I'm going to take my tan color and I'm going to put it in my yarn guide in between that last white and that first black. I'm going to do as I normally do, and I'm going to crank for 2 or 3 needles, and then I'm going to take both ends of my working yarn, pull it. I'm going to help that one go underneath that little red divider there. That just helps my first few stitches on every color change to be even tension to the rest of my project. I'm going to tie a knot so that that's secure. I'm going to cut off those 2 yarn ends. And then I'm going to crank for another 10 rows until I've completed row 30. Okay, and you're going to do that back and forth until you get 90 rows. You're going to do 30 rows of your 10 rows of your first color, 10 rows of your second color, 10 rows of your first color, 10 rows of your second color, and alternate back and forth until you get to row 90. Okay, so the color that you begin with is the color that you will also end with. So go ahead and do that, changing your yarn and rotating after every 10 rows. And I'll see you back when we get to the end, okay? Okay, so if you completed your 90 rows, you should have this color, your light color. The color you started with should be what you have at the end of your project. And so normally, so for me, that would be this color if I was working on that same panel that I was doing when I was talking to you in the last clip. But I told you I was going to meet you at the end and then we were going to cast off together. But I thought I hit video record and I didn't. So I finished the whole thing and apparently I was just talking to myself and not to you. So, and that was my second panel in that color. So I am now doing my my next panel. So I'm going to finish that off. But for you, the one that you were working on, you're going to do 2 exactly like that. So when you started with your light color, you're going to do 10 rows alternating both colors until you get to row 90, and you're going to finish row 90 with that light color that you started, and you're going to make 2 panels exactly like that, so 2 all together. And then you're going to make 1 panel where you start with the opposite color. So you're going to start with your darker color and you're going to do 10 rows. Then you're going to do 10 rows of your light color, 10 rows of your darker color, and you're going to alternate all the way till you get to 90. So I have to do 10 rows of this color until I get to 90. I'm going to stop after a row or 2 and I'm going to give that a good tie. Then I like to clip them so that they're about the same size and a little bit shorter. You'll see I have a blanket on my lap. I am freezing. I'm downstairs in my craft room and we are switching, we're into the fall now and I haven't turned on my heater down here yet. So today's a cold day and I'm cold. So that's what you see in my lap. Nice warm blanket. Okay, so I just clicked on 90. I'm going to finish that row. There we go. Have that done. Now I'm going to grab my waste yarn, which you always want to have in a contrasting color so that when you're closing your ends, you can see it very easily. Okay, so I'm going to insert that into my yarn feeder there, and I'm going to turn it just a little bit, and I'm just going to tie one little slip knot in there so that I don't lose that end that starts to unravel. Okay, and then I'm going to crank out 7 or 8 rows of waste yarn. Okay, that should be good. And when I get to the end there, I'm going to cut off that yarn. I'm going to open my yarn guide. I'm going to put my yarn end in between the last white and the first black. And then I'm going to crank again, and on the second time around, it lets loose. Okay. So this is the third panel that I have made, and it is, so I do 2 in the first color combination that I showed you, and then 3 in, or pardon me, and then 1 in this, this last color. So I have 2 that start with the light color and alternate light, dark until I get to 90, and I have 1 that starts with a dark color and ends with a dark color. Okay, and so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 solid panels. I'll show you, I already joined one together. So I'm going to do 2 solid panels in this lighter color, okay? You can choose the light or the dark, whichever you like. I'm choosing the light, and I'm going to do 90 rows, 90 rows of that solid color, just like that, okay? So you go ahead, add your waste yarn to the beginning of your row, and then you're going to do 90 rows of your one color, and then you're going to do the long tail cast off with your waste yarn again and do that. So make 2 of those, and then I'll see you back. All right, we've got 2 of those done, and I've already joined mine with the braided join, because if you look at my video list on my channel, you'll find a video there that shows you how to do the braided join, and you can go ahead and look that up, and then if you don't know how to do the braided join, look that up and then have that done. Now what I did here is I started with the panel that I made, the light color at the bottom. There's 2 of those. Those are on the ends, and then I have the darker one in the middle, and it does stagger my squares. So they are staggered, even though you can't really tell from this video. They're staggered, and once you get that together, make sure you follow the instructions really carefully, because you want, if you notice, these little lines are all going in one direction, okay, on all the panels. Okay, and you want to make sure that you do that, and that's by starting on the same side and on the same end. The back looks different, so you want to make sure that you follow the instructions on my video so that you get the proper look for that, okay? So now that you've made your 3 striped panels, you've made your 2 solid panels, and you've got those all put together with the braided join, we're going to go ahead and make 5 more plain panels. So we're doing the same technique, so I'm choosing not to show you again on the camera, because it's the same thing. You're going to do waste yarn at the beginning, then you're going to do 90 rows of the solid color, and you can choose the dark or the light, whichever you like. Because my solid panels in the front are light, I was actually going to go with the mushroom color on the back as well, but that yarn was giving me too much grief, and I just couldn't bear the thought of doing 5 more panels of that color. So I am choosing the darker color, and I think it'll work out great anyway. So that's good. You can choose whichever of the 2 colors that you like best, and you're going to go ahead and you're going to make 5 panels. 5 panels that are exactly the same, all solid in color. Okay, so go ahead and do that, and then once you finish that, you can meet me back, because I'm going to show you how I join these ones. I do not do the braided stitch on these ones. I'm going to do the invisible join, and I don't have a video on that, so I'm choosing to do that on camera here. Also, I should mention how to close a flat end on your tube. You can find that on my channel as well. So I chose not to do that on this particular tutorial either, because I do have a tutorial on it. So for the braided join and the flat edge closing, go ahead and look for those videos on my channel. Just click on my name and then go up to videos, click videos, and it'll give you a list of all the videos that I've got. And you can surf through them and find how to do those 2 things. But we're going to join them together. So get your panels done and then see me back. All right? I went ahead and put an ivory placemat on my table underneath this, because it was distorting. This table color was distorting the actual color of the project, and I think it still is distorted a little bit in my camera, and I apologize for that. But and this color is this green color is the Arctic color in Craftsmart, and this is mushroom. Okay, but before we're going to join the panels, I just want to make sure that you obviously are going to close these up. I just left it. Before I came on and explained this other part, I should have finished off my ends, but I'm going to do that after I join my back panel together. But what I just do is I take a needle and a thread, and I just well, not with this needle because it's too long. I'm going to use this for the joining of the other panels, but I just sew them together and then they're all exactly straight and they're the same length. So right now they look like they're a little jagged and off, off kilter for length, but they're actually exactly the same because I did it the same number of rows on every panel. So it's just a matter of putting it together properly. Okay, so you're going to take your 2 panels. You're going to get yourself a piece of yarn that's the same color. That is the length of the panel plus maybe, I don't know, give yourself 6 to 8 inches, a foot maybe, whatever you're comfortable with, okay? And we're going to take the one panel on the side, and I'm going to look for the very side that's got the V's, where the wide end of the V is going down. I'm going to do that on that side, and I'm going to do it on the other side, okay? If that means twisting it a half a turn, like if that was my side where the narrow part's down, I would give it a half a twist, but for these 2 panels, it works out exactly the way it should. But you want to make sure that on both panels, you've got the wide part of your V down, okay? And then I use this top string right here, this top end, to sew the first stitch together. So I don't start up here with this join or with my braided join, and that's why you saw the opening on the other one. I start in the second stitch. So you're going to insert your needle into that space right there. You're going to pull up 2 bars. So essentially you're going through two stitches there. You're going to pull up 2 bars and you're going to pull your yarn through, leaving a tail. Then you're going to go into the next side and you're going to do the same thing. Pull it through. Okay, then you're going to keep going back and forth. The beauty of this is that there is only one color, so you're not having to join. If you were to be doing a blanket or something that had color changes, you have to make sure that the color changes all match up. But for this, there is no color change, so it's a dream. All you gotta do is pick up 2 bars on one side, go across, pick up 2 bars on the other side, making sure you stay on the same row. Sometimes with your, movements of your hand downwards and stuff, you could end up on a different row quite easily. It can twist and you can do that, and you want to make sure that doesn't happen. You stay on the same row, okay? So you're going to just follow this all the way down, picking up 2 bars on each side. When you get, let me just do a couple more. I'll stop there, but I could easily go a little bit farther too. I'm going to grab this end and I'm going to pinch the top there, and I'm going to pull on this. And you'll see how that closes it up just perfectly. And this is why I say open it, or make sure you have the wide part of both of the stitches on both sides, because then when it's all joined together, it just follows the natural sequence. Like you've got a row, a row, a row, a row, a row, a row, and you cannot tell where the join is. If you did one where especially on a solid color panel, if you're using variegated yarn, you can't tell the difference if it wasn't like that, but I still like to do it properly anyways. But so for this, if you were to have one wide and one narrow, it would throw off the balance of the rows as it goes down. So I make sure, no matter what stitch I'm doing, it's just a habit to make the wide part of the stitch always face down on both sides of the panel. It's a good habit to get into, so I'd encourage you, if you haven't started doing that you do that when you're joining panels together, okay? So then I'm going to go down maybe another 10 or 15 stitches, whatever I'm comfortable with. And I'm going to pinch at the top where it was last closed, and then I'm going to pull. Should have done longer, but I'm just showing you what I do. And I'm going to go ahead and do that all the way down. Now get yourself a marker or a pin, or like a bobby pin. Mine isn't within reaching distance, or I'd go grab one, and put a bobby pin on the side that you're working on. Okay, so then when you join your next panel, you're going to join it so you're on the same side going that way. Okay, just so that you're always seaming down the same side. So it just looks more professional, looks more even on both sides. So go ahead and mark your side that you always have facing up, and then when you are sewing the next panel on, always have that side up. Okay, so go ahead, get all 5 of those panels done, finish off your ends, sewing them around and tucking them in so that you have a straight edge, And when you're done that, see me back and we are going to assemble this beautiful pillow, okay? Okay, so it is time to assemble, but before we do that, you know what? As I was sewing it all together and finishing off the ends, I just thought, why don't I put some duplicate stitch on there? So this project is a pillow, but we are doing so many different things. We got our braided stitch, we've got our invisible join, we've got our striped pattern, our solid pattern, and now we're gonna add some duplicate stitch. Now because this is, it is double layered, but we're not gonna see the inside part, so that doesn't, it doesn't matter if we have our knot on the back. So again, you're gonna find the row where the V stitch, where the wide part is up, okay? And I'm just gonna choose any spot there and I'm gonna pull my yarn through, and I also have a video on duplicate stitch, so you can check that out as well, but I will, I'm gonna do some of it here with you just because it's fun. Okay, so I'm going to pull my yarn through the point of that stitch. Then I'm going to miss this stitch and I'm gonna go up to the next one. I'm gonna go under those 2 bars, pull it through. Long, because I want to make it all the way up to the top. And then I'm going to go back down into that point and in between the layers. And then I'm going to just take my needle and put it anywhere. Like this is not a pattern. I just went random anywhere. But I did go like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Kind of, then this one I didn't, but I just did it random all over the place. So, but you always got to come up where the point is and the wide part is of the stitch is at the top. Okay, so then I'm gonna pull that through. And I'm not gonna pull this very tight just so it matches the fabric. I don't wanna pull it tight like that or it's gonna hide the stitch, okay? You wanna just have it nice and loose, okay? Snug to the fabric, or to the piece, but not so tight that it ruins the stitch, okay? So I've come up in this point, and I'm going to miss this next one, this next stitch, and I'm gonna go up into the one that's above that. So 2 stitches up, go through the 2 bars, pull that, and then go back into the point where I was, and then I'm gonna come back over to this side, maybe I'll come down here a little bit. I think I need something down here. I'm gonna go lower. I'm gonna go down here, and you'll eyeball it as you go. I'm gonna go lower because I think I need something down there, okay? And I'm going to finish that stitch. Now I've got it through the point of this one, and I'm going to miss these next 2 bars and go up into the 2 above it and work that. Then I'm going to put my needle back into that point, and I'm going to go up where I think the next one should be, and that will be maybe there. So you're just going to visualize it. Don't make it a pattern. Or you can if you want, but I'm not making it a pattern. I'm just staggering them all over the place. Now, I am not American, I'm Canadian, but I can appreciate a flag from any country. I'm thinking, if you did this in red, white, and blue, it would kind of look, it would be quite patriotic. So for my American friends out there, you can tweak this and make it look like an American pattern. So there you go, okay? So then we're going to go back into this pattern, or into this point, and I'm gonna go over maybe to there. They're quite spread out. Some will be closer together and others will be spread out, and that's what makes it beautiful, right? Because it's not a planned pattern. I just am staggering it. So there we go. And I'm gonna do that all the way up, just following it where I think it would look nice. Okay, I'm gonna put one there. Oops, don't cross your yarn because then that will wreck your stitch. Okay, but I'm going to let you continue doing that, but I'm gonna turn it around the back. So my end, I need my smaller needle because this one's too long. But my end, I took that right through both layers. This is gonna be hidden on the inside because we're doing a seam all around with the other piece, so you're not gonna see this. All you're gonna do is you're going to take this end and you're going to loop it around some of the stitches there so that you can, I can do it with this big needle if I try, so that you can tie it tight, okay? And make a double knot. Hope I have my hands in the camera. I think I do. Make a double knot, and then you are going to hide it. Isn't this fun? It's such a fun project. You know what? Sometimes you'll do a project, and in the middle of it, you'll be inspired to do something else because you'll just visualize it. And I'm going to snip that off. And okay, if this side was showing, of course, I would never do it that way. But it's not showing, so it's going to be on the inside. So it's okay. It's okay even if you leave this like that because you're not going to see it. But I'll hide it and go about it that way. But you want to make sure that you tie it around a couple pieces of loops there, or pieces there, like so that this doesn't, it secures it and it doesn't pull out and get loose. Okay, you don't want to just tie a knot and hide the end and not tie it around some of these strands. Okay, I think you know what I mean. Okay, so you're going to do that, and you're going to keep going until you get that second panel done. It's a good way if you've had yarn that you fought with that has some looser stitches. You work it out so that your duplicate stitch goes over that and over this one too. Oh, can't do this one because the point is the wrong way, but I can use this half of it and do that, and then I'll hide it that way. So anyways, continue that on until you get your duplicate stitching done, and I'm loving how this is looking. So thanks for joining me. I hope that you're having fun. So get that done and then see me back. So now that you've got your duplicate stitch done, your front is done, you've got your back all worked out for you, you're going to make sure that your panels are going in the same direction. So you see your lines are going down this way on your back panel, and same with the front panel. So you want to make sure that's correct. So then you're going to line those two up, and you're going to just go to one side. We're going to sew both of our sides together. We're going to do a fringe on the top and the bottom of this pillow. We're going to do those ends last, but for now we're going to take our side and we're going to do the invisible join just like we did with our back panel. With every piece of our back panel, that's exactly what we're going to do with our sides. So you go ahead, pick up 2 bars, and I use the same color thread as the back. So my dominant color is my green because of the back, but on the front the dominant is the ivory, or the mushroom. So you can actually use whichever you want because it's an invisible stitch and you don't see it anyways. But I'm choosing to do the green fringe on this one. So I'm gonna just go ahead and use the green yarn as well. So go ahead and do both of your sides with the invisible stitch. Get that done, and when you're finished that, see me back. Man, we're learning so much on this pillow. If you're new to circular knitting, I hope that you have clicked on this project and that you chose to do it, because you're learning a whole lot of different things. So pretty exciting. I hope you're enjoying it and having fun. And for those of us who have done this for a bit and you know, are familiar with these stitches, we can whip this off in no time. It seems like it's taking a long time because I'm recording. But if you were to just focus on making this pillow and doing it on your own, if you're familiar with all the stitches, it won't take long. And for those of you who are new, once you make one, you'll be a pro at it and you'll be able to make the next one in no time flat. Okay, so go ahead, finish sewing up the sides of your pillow, and I'll see you back when both are done. Okay, have fun. Okay, my friends, we are getting there. I've got my sides all seamed up, just like that. I've got my ends hid. Oh, I got to cut that little piece off that I didn't get. So I've got my sides all sewn, both sides. Looks beautiful, smooth. It almost looks like one piece, but it's not. It's two. And now we're going to sew it up. Now, I designed this based on a 19 by 19 inch pillow. I have an old pillow that a couch cushion that I don't like. And so I'm going to just, and I'll show you that once we finish covering up or sewing up the bottom. But I can open it up and take the stuffing out and fill this just like that. Or what I'm gonna actually do is just slip this right over the pillow. Once I have all three, have 3 sides done, I'm gonna slip it right over the pillow, then I'm gonna sew up the 4th side. So pick a side, doesn't matter. What I want you to do though is make sure you need to find, like just sort of feel around till you find, you can see where it is, barely, but you can see where it is. My seam is right there on the back. I wanna make sure that, or you can even tell by up here, that this seam matches my braid that's at the front. Because I don't want it pulling and puckering and stuff. I want it to all of these seams to line up with the braids. Okay, so you're gonna line up this, sorry, I was off camera. So you're gonna line up this braid with the back seam. You're gonna line up this braid with the back seam. You're gonna line up this one with that back seam. And you're going to line up this one with that back seam as you sew along. So the first thing you're gonna do is just put these 2 together just so that you can work on this front panel, okay? Or this very side panel. So for this, I was gonna crochet it, but then I thought, nope, I'm gonna make this a no crochet pattern, just for those who don't crochet, okay? But I'm gonna just tie this on here. Just like so. Okay, okay, so I'm gonna again make sure that these 2 are lined up, kind of like that. And then I'm gonna just do, oh, lost my, oh, the joys. Lost my thread out of my, or my yarn out of my needle. Good thing that these needles you can thread with one hand. So I'm gonna just, whip stitch this just like this all the way down and closing it off, okay? Just grabbing the top layer. Now you can choose to take a piece of this, a long piece of yarn like this and do a single crochet down the side. That works too, but I'm gonna put a fringe on this so you won't see this this seam anyway. So I'm going to just go ahead and sew this closed, close to the top, going all the way down, just like that, making sure that my seams from each panel line up. Okay, so go ahead and do that, finish off and hide your ends, and then see me back. Just do that for one side, not for 2, okay? Now that you have that done, it should look like this. It's a nice finish, which I forgot to, tucked in that last end, but I didn't tuck in this end. So I'm gonna do that really quick while we're on camera here. It's because it's very fast to do. Okay, only thing is my scissors aren't over here, but that's okay. We're gonna leave it like that. But so the ugly pillow that I am going to go over is this one. Now my camera is too low for you to see this big bulky pillow, but I'm going to raise it. Give me 1 second. Okay, there, I did my best, but I can't get it much higher than that. So this is the pillow that was nice back in the day on my brown leather couch, but I'm going to cover it. And because it's like the inside stuffing doesn't have a cover over it, it's just the stuffing. So I'm deciding to, see, it's just like that. I can pull that out and put it in this pillow and leave it like that. But I figured why, it's already formed and it's in this pillow. I made this project to fit a 19 by 19 inch pillow. So if you have a 19 by 19 inch, you can do the same thing, or you can choose to stuff it with just fiberfill. So there you go, or buy a pillow that fits inside of there. Okay, so I'm going to put my pillow inside my pillow cover here. Oh, that's so nice. And then I'm going to stretch this over the top, and I'm going to sew. You might want to put a few stitch markers in where your seams are, just to hold it for you, to make it a little bit easier. Stick some stitch markers in this section, and in this one, and in that one, and in this one, and then sew up this side just like you did the other side. And when you're done that, I'll see you back. Well, now that we've got our pillow all sewn, it's time to do the fringe. if you choose to do a fringe. You don't have to do a fringe, but if you choose to do a fringe, we're going to put a 3.5 inch fringe on this pillow. I did a 2 inch fringe. I thought I would do a really short one, but I didn't like it. So I only got partway done, and then I decided to do a 3.5 inch fringe. And to do that, what you're gonna do is you're gonna get yourself a piece of cardboard and you're gonna do it 3.5 inches wide, like that. So 3.5 inches wide. And then you're gonna take your yarn and you're gonna wrap it around that cardboard, just like this. I wrap it 100 times actually, about 100 times. It's okay if you double layer it. I try not to go too much more than a double layer, but you just keep wrapping like this. And essentially when you cut it, I'm gonna cut it now just so you can see. When you cut it, you just grab, you go to any section. It doesn't matter, you're gonna do one cut, so whether you do it here or here or here, it doesn't matter. It still stays the same length because you're only doing one cut. So you give it a cut. And then, essentially you've got a 7 inch piece now because it was double this 3.5 width. But you're going to put it in half and attach it like that, which makes it a 3.5 inch fringe again, okay? So I'm gonna just show you what I do for the side, okay? So this is the side that we seam together. I'm going to, I hope that this angle is good. What I do is from the green part, from the back part, I take one whole stitch. One whole stitch, so there's 2 bars, and then I take 1 bar of the front panel. I have this in half, and I'm gonna pull it through, put my fingers through that loop, and pull it through. Now, the thing is you always wanna put your hook in from the back to the front, so that the bar of this fringe is always at the front of your project, okay? So always insert from the back to the front. So I'm gonna miss 1 stitch and I'm gonna do the next one. I should have waited till I got up here in the white. So I'm gonna just go up here, miss 1. So I'm gonna go here. So I'm gonna take this full stitch here. Pretend I've done every second one up to here. I just thought it would be easier for you to see it in the mushroom. So 1 full stitch of the green, 1/2 of that front stitch, so there's 3 bars on your hook. You're gonna take your fringe, put it in half, grab the end with your hook, pull it through all of those 3 bars, then grab it with your fingers, open up the loop, pull those 2 ends through. And then you've got your bar of your fringe at the front, okay? So then I'm gonna miss the next stitch and go into the next. That next stitch is pretty tight because you're pulling on this, so if you have to look on the opening here, then you see that opening. This is the next stitch, and it looks really tight. So don't go too far. You're gonna just go to the second stitch. So miss 1, go to the next, grab another fringe, put it on your hook, take it through to the back, pull it out so you can get your fingers in there, grab the ends, and attach it. You're gonna do that every second stitch all the way up. Now on the top, all I did for the top is I did the same thing. I went from the back to the front, and you can kind of see if I put these over here, you can kind of see that that bar goes all along the side here, or along the edge there. So you're keeping your bar on the same side. But all I did was I put my, I'm gonna do it about here. Your seam is right there. I just kind of grabbed it like that, okay? So I'm basically just carrying the seam. And then I take my tassel and I do the same thing. Okay, pull it through. And this side is harder to get through because you've got your thick seam there. And then you do the same thing, okay? Making sure you go from the back to the front. And then I just eyeball it. If you can see these rows and follow it, then you go every row, okay? But if you can't, which I didn't bother with that to follow, once I got this one on, I just kind of went over maybe two hook thicknesses. So if you want to do it that way, you put your hook there and you know that's one thickness and you're just going to go right beside that. Try to poke it in through there. So it's really a matter of eyeballing it, okay? Just to get it right. And while you're doing this, because this actually, to go around all 4 sides of your pillow, see it's hard to get in there. So sometimes you got to just grab it with your fingers like that if you can get that end. To go around all four sides of the pillow does take some time, not gonna lie. It takes some time to get it done. So put on a good movie, get these things all cut, put on a good movie, and I was just watching The Deep End of the Ocean. It's an old movie, I'm sure. It's on Netflix, and it's about a boy that gets kidnapped when he's 3 and then found when he's 9. And it's actually, it's sad at first, but it's actually a happy story. So if you like movies like that, then check out The Deep End of the Ocean and get your fringes put on while you do that. So, okay, there you go. There's an option for you, or an idea for you. And go ahead, finish putting on those fringes, and that will be it. Then your pillow will be done. And you've gone ahead and made a beautiful project. So I wish I could see all the colors that you've done and the creations that you've made. I'm going to point out in the end here that for duplicate stitches, they generally sit with the point of the V at the bottom. That's the right way the stitch goes. And I generally look at this seam that we've done down here, and I think that this is the right way, like so that your natural eye goes up this way. We sewed it from the bottom here all the way up going this way. So essentially I did these upside down. So I'm gonna turn it around, but really that's being overly picky. And I often mention that sometimes we're too picky because really there's no right or wrong for this. Either direction is right. So I kind of like it like that actually. My eye is getting drawn down into a V going this way. For the seam, and then this way for the duplicate stitch, and I actually quite like how that turned out. So it was a mistake that I like, but if you noticed it, I just wanted to point it out in case you noticed that. But either way is correct. I don't think there's a right and a wrong way, an upside or a downside for the braid here, but I do believe there is for the duplicate stitch. I think that the wide end going up is the correct way. However, you be creative and you do it how you want to do it. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you've made a gorgeous pillow for yourself. And I ask that if you have never subscribed to my channel, that you go ahead and do that. I would appreciate that very much. Okay, take care, my friends, and have a great day.